So Joseph tells his brothers in chapter 45, verse 13, Therefore, tell my father of all my glory in Egypt and all that you saw, but you must hurry and bring my father down here. And verse 14 continues, That he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. He then kissed all his brothers and wept upon them. Afterwards, his brothers conversed with him. So, no surprises here. This incredibly emotional reunion, and of course, he hugs and kisses the brothers, and it's an emotionally charged moment. Now, Rashi, the classic commentator par excellence, printed in every Chumash, who always, by his own declaration, provides what it refers to as the simple meaning of the verse. That does not always mean the literal meaning, but what the intention that the verse intends to convey. But Rashi's own presentation of the simple meaning of the verse is drawn from the oral tradition, the Talmud and the Midrash. And it is this very attribute that our teachers and sages of all generations so much embraced the commentary of Rashi, and specifically the Khatam Sofer would say that it is precisely because Rashi provides this continuum of the necessity to draw from our oral tradition to explain the written tradition. It is this that makes Rashi so great. And he brings a very almost puzzling explanation from the Talmud. And Rashi says that when it says that Joseph fell upon the neck of Benjamin, that he was weeping because of the two Batei HaMikdash, the two temples that in the future time be found in the portion of the Holy Land that would be apportioned to the tribe of Benjamin, because indeed, before the entrance to Canaan, the land of Israel was apportioned to the various tribes. Although most of what is now Jerusalem belonged to Judah, the actual location of the Beit HaMikdash, the Holy Temple, the first and second, was in the territory which belonged to Benjamin, the tribe of Benjamin. And so in a kind of prophecy, Joseph is weeping for the destruction of the two temples that would be in Benjamin's territory. Just to clarify that, the Jews had not yet entered Egypt, which would be followed by their redemption, the Exodus, which originally was to be followed shortly thereafter by their entrance to Israel. This was delayed because of the spies' skepticism, and clearly it was not a priori the plan that they would again be exiled. So these prophecies do not mean that the exile was something that would have to happen. Negative decrees, can always be canceled. But nonetheless, there was this element of Holy Spirit, a prophecy in which Joseph was foreseeing the exile following the destructions of the two temples, which are in fact in the territory of Benjamin. And when it says Benjamin fell on the neck of Joseph and cried, so Rashi explains that was also about a temple. Before the temples were built and rebuilt in Jerusalem, which was connected to the monarchy of King David, but preceding that, there was a temple for a long period of time in a place called Shiloh. It was called Mishkan Shiloh. And as we know, in the desert, the Jews had the tabernacle, which is the movable Mishkan, the movable holy place was made of wood and was assembled and disassembled and then reassembled at each encampment. And a similar structure was built when they entered Israel, although instead of being made out of wood, it was made out of stone, and that was called the Mishkan Shiloh. And that was in the territory of Joseph. And so Benjamin was foreseeing that Mishkan, that temple, and its eventual destruction by the Philistines, and he was crying about that. Now, why, you ask, would the Talmud draw this conclusion? It seems almost homiletic. More than likely it is, certainly it is because of the word neck, which was also the subject of our opening anecdote, as I remind you. And here it comes into play. But the reason that it is essential that somehow or other the word neck in the weeping of Benjamin and Joseph be understood is presumably because in the very next verse it says afterwards in verse 15, he kissed all his brothers and wept upon them. But there it doesn't say he fell on their necks. So apparently there's something distinctive about the embracing and weeping between Joseph and Benjamin, which did not exist with the other brothers. And so the Talmud draws this conclusion that it was because Joseph and Benjamin represented the two tribes that had either the Mishkan or the temple in their particular allotted portion of the Holy Land. And what I want to focus on today is how the word neck is connected to the temples. First of all, regarding the presence of the Holy Temple, Numbers 1 and 2, in the portion of Benjamin, in the blessings at the end of the Torah from Moses to the various tribes, it says, Levinyamin amar yedid Hashem, Yishkoin levetech alav. To Benjamin it was said, beloved of God, he will dwell safely upon it. Chofef alav kol hayom. The Lord will hover above him all day long. Uvein kitefav shachen, and will dwell between his shoulders. What is between his shoulders? The neck. An allusion to the building of the temple of Jerusalem in the portion of Benjamin. But why indeed is a temple compared to a neck? Well, the Midrash does say, comparing the neck of the person to the temple, and as we find emphasized in the Song of Songs, in chapter 4, verse number 4, where in this metaphorical love song between the Jewish people and God, we say, Kemigdal David Savarech, your neck is as the Tower of David. The Tower of David here means the temple. And again, compared to a neck, as we are told that just like the neck is the top of the body, so too the temple is the uppermost aspect of the physical world, the highest element. But indeed we could ask, is it not the head that's the highest element? And so, if what we are looking for here is height, why not compare the temple to the head? And if height is not significant, then why single it out and say, oh, this is the highest part of the body, this is the highest part of the head? And the answer is because it reflects exactly what the function of the temple, first of all the Mishkan, and eventually the temple is. It is the neck, which, as we know from our opening story, is even more than the head. In terms of our mission in this world and what has to be accomplished, that is signified by the neck, as we will soon see.